Perfect.
All right, here we go. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris here of 1980 Something Co. Welcome to, first off, this is not a podcast. I'm just sitting down with the homie. I don't know if I'll be able to continue this. There's one person and one person only that I want to have on the show, and that's none other than one of the coolest dudes that I know, a friend for sure. Coming out of New York, guys, my dog Craig, a.k.a. Evil Empire Vintage. Craig, let him know what's up.
What's up, my dog? Happy to be here, man. This is, if you asked me 2 years ago when I started my page, I'd be getting interviewed by 1980 something, let alone him being one of my best friends outside of this. I would have said you're fucking crazy. So super honored, man. Super dope to be here and just happy to have a conversation and get the people to know me a little bit better,
For sure, man. Yeah, so it's for this, if it's going to be a podcast, whatever it is, it's going to be just chopping it up about things that are going on in the game.
Cool.
I think the last time I did a podcast series, we did a lot of origin stuff, like how you got into it.
Right.
We all got into it different ways, but I like to see how we're maneuvering now, especially with everything that's happening. We got like markets all crazy.
Sure.
Things are at the lowest price compared to where they were just, a year ago. So there's just so much to talk about. You were bidding on something right now. What can you disclose to us what you were bidding on before you hopped on? Because we had to wait. He couldn't come right on, guys. He was bidding on. He's like, yo, I gotta get something right now. What was it?
When you have something like on your watch list for 7 days, and especially on like eBay, it's rare to have an auction. They're usually buy it nows and they just sit there for 2 years. So there was two from the same seller. I lost the first one. It was a long sleeve, so I was cool with that. But I'll pull it up and show what I needed. I've never even seen the tee. That's how I knew I needed it.
Oh, damn. That's one of the questions right here on my little cheat sheet is I was going to ask you, because you have tees that blow my mind that I've never seen of artists that sometimes I'm like, I've never seen a tee for this artist, or I've never seen this particular tee, or I didn't even think to look for tees for this artist.
Right.
So one of the questions was, what's someone that you haven't seen their tee and you wonder if it exists? Is there an artist like that? Is this one of those situations?
Yes. So this is a 1998 Powerhouse tee. It definitely needs some work. Like it needs some stain removal. It needs some heavy scrubbing, but I'm up to the task. I didn't care. I couldn't turn it down, but I'll show the crowd. So we got Powerhouse 1998. I hope the light picks that up. You got Jay, DMX, Nori, and Big Pun and Fat Joe. So that's the front. The back goes.
Bro, Pun and Joe together, just embracing. That's crazy.
Dude, and you know me, man, we're very similar. We both love Pun. That's my favorite rapper of all time. So any Pun tees that are not, the Big Pun tag, even though I still do like those, I'm on it, I can't turn that down. So, and then it's got the back hit as well. And you got Next, you got Monica, you got Jagged Edge, you got Maya, and you got Killer Cam. You got 1998 Cameron on the back.
A young Cam.
So
wow.
Dipset being my favorite group, and Pun and Joe and the whole clan on the front. When I saw it, I was like, I know what I got to do. And we were supposed to start a little bit earlier, but I had to be like, dude, I can't let this one go,
Yeah. Speaking of Cam, I see you got the pink touches on the fit. That's a crazy little fit.
We got to do a little something for the boys and girls, I'll do a little fit check for the crowd. Today, we got
you had to wear that Mariah, huh? So we did a video call the other day, guys, and I bought this one, Major Eye. Speaking of Major ISO, this Kanye tee, the best for me. One of those tees I never thought I'd get my hands on. Got it from this guy. But one of the ones that, when it was coming down to it, I was like, these are the tees that I got to have. Was this Mariah? Check this Mariah out, guys. It's so good.
So I had this one when I first started doing full-time reselling. I sold it to a football player, regretted it ever since. I wouldn't say very common, but not the rarest, but still the colors go crazy. Front, and we got the back from the Rainbow Tour. I got some vintage bootleg Gucci pants on that I've had in my collection for like 10 years. We got the women's Air Max 1s with the white and pink. We got a you know how everyone's rocking these fitteds now with the colors, but this is actually from 2008. I've had this in my collection for a long time in the city, in New York and Jersey. They had New Era licenses back in the day. So me and my homies used to come back from after work. And if you had 4 or more, you would get it for $25 and less. So I have a bunch of these still. We got the Rolex ring on with a couple carats for the kids, you know, and then a vintage Givenchy chain today.
Wow. What a G. That's a savage fit pink with the tan, the Gucci tan pants. I love it, bro. That's a little fit. But is that like a New York thing, wearing, pink hits? Because I feel like am I tripping? Do I see a lot of New York heads throw the pink on?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, let's keep it real, right? It all stems from when Killer Camera rocked that mink fur. And then he had the pink range to match it. And Dipset was very influential in New York. Pink has always been accents. And then, 1 or 2 years later, you had Ye come out rocking the pink polos. And for me, I know for certain men are against certain different colors and they can't wear that, man. I don't give a fuck. I'll rock women's sneakers. If it's dope and I can make it fit on my body, ain't no shame in my game, man. I'm a pretty confident dude. So
I love that, man. That's that's like a flashy look to me. When people are able to put the pink together, I'm like, yo, that's a flex. Since you're on, I had the tee I'm wearing today, repping, since I know you're from New York, I had to come with something. Did Angel get this from you?
Yeah, she got that one from me too, yeah.
So one of my favorite sellers, guys, you could already tell. I got this one. This one's from him. Dude, this one right here, I still can't. I'm going to be on Flex Friday tonight with Protect Farm. This is going to be the last piece. It's going to be the crown jewel awesome. Right here.
That's an honor, bro, because listen, man, I hoard a lot too, as you know. And I pick my spots when to show things. And sometimes, to keep it real, I'll just stare at it and admire it like an art piece, Like that one I only had for 3 weeks. And then when we were on the video call, let's keep it real, there's certain people I just can't say no to. And I know you're the biggest Ye fan. So it's like, who would I be if you had that tee I just showed you that I copped on eBay and you didn't show it to me? I'd be fucking pissed. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it all comes around, man. And I appreciate you always supporting me. You and Angel are some of the best in the game, and I appreciate you guys.
No, man, you're a killer. And you got another piece that I just can't stop thinking about, and it's that 112 piece.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll show you guys at the end of the show before we log off. This 112 piece is crazy. 112 R&B group from when I was growing up. Yeah. All their songs, hits, where I'm from, know the lyrics, singing it in the car, all that. And he's got the best 112 shirt, if there's even any others. It's hard to find just a straight 112 tee.
Correct.
But that one that you have is I probably think the epitome.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really rare. I actually just sold another 112. It was a mullet hit. It had the 112 logo, and then it had all 4 members on the back. It was like a one-off date. I just sold it on Spacely's Live. I think it's always just hit or miss, but that one is it's the one. I've had that for about 2 years now. And it's when people ask, it's I respectfully have to be like, yo, thanks for inquiring, but no chance,
Well, I think it's just the age thing, man. Right now, a lot of early 2000 stuff has become nostalgia, because I think the biggest buyer in the game is the younger dude, So
it's funny you even mentioned. I was talking to my homie about it. My boy Cooka T, who's always in the chat. Shout out my boy Cooks. He was like, bro, how come he's not really in it, but certain pieces I'll be running, he'll be like, dude, I thought that would go for way more. And it's how do you convince an 18 to 21-year-old kid that didn't grow up with certain things we grew up with? And when you're doing auctions on Instagram Live, you never know the age demographic or who's in there. So when I run something, I feel pretty confident for what I got it for. So I'm willing to start it at $1. But more importantly, it's kind of the unknown. We all kind of gamble with that, we could go through the process of putting it on the eBays and the Dpops and the Grails and doing your story sale and all this shit. But it's for me, if I get to enjoy it and I got it for a good price, I'm pretty confident I'll make some money. It might not be top dollar, but you just hope the right people are in the right room at the right time,
Yeah, man. I think that it is an age thing. I feel like what happened was there was a big age range that was being told what is the cool t-shirt, what is vintage, rap, rap tees, and whatever other category that has been hot since, like, say 2016. And I say 2016 because that's when I started doing this full time. Before that, I was just thrifting whatever funky low clothes to match my J's. But like intent with it, selling tees, looking for valuable shirts, 2016. Yeah. So, but I think that as a community grows, a certain buyer, an aggressive, which is usually going to be the younger buyer, is realizing that what is old to them is also now considered cool. There's value in their cartoons and shows from the 2000s or shit. Now it's like the rules are all out the window. Now a John Wick shirt can be,
yes,
you know? So that's why on my bio, I say vintage and rare t-shirt enthusiasts, because I respect it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point, right? It's like we live in this bubble of Instagram. And before I started doing this full time, I didn't even know vintage Instagram existed. I was just a collector. So like all this was new to me and I was like blown away. I thought if someone had 1,000 followers, I was like, yo, that is the GOAT right there. They have 1,000 people following them for posting t-shirts. But you realize as time goes on with vintage in general, like, and the world in general and fashion, everything comes in waves. And I think you brought up cartoons, which is, you know, we all know a handful of people that really put that on the map, and it's like-minded individuals around the same age group. And I'm not like my cartoons is Nickelodeon and that's it. You know, like I watched Looney Tunes and Nickelodeon. I wasn't a superhero guy. Like my superheroes were ball players and rappers. You know what I mean? Like even since I was a young kid. So I don't really resonate with that stuff, but it doesn't mean I have to hate on it just because I don't understand something. Doesn't mean, like, people love talking about other people's businesses or pages. And it's like, yo, concentrate on yourself, because at the end of the day, you'll drive yourself crazy trying to catch these trends because we've all seen them come and go, right? So for me, I always stick to what I love. And if it's something I wouldn't wear and doesn't resonate with my story of who I am as a person, I'll never buy it. So I'm not out here trying to be a cash cow and trying to get a quick buck. It's like, no, every piece I buy tells a story about Craig Gannon, the person, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So tell us more about your background. So sports is one. What are the things that you curate? What's your background?
Yeah, man. I mean, to keep it simple, I do some anonymous of like miscellaneous pieces of like cartoons. We've talked about movies and a little bit of wrestling, but my bread and butter is sports pieces and specifically rap and R&B. I do collect other, you know, one-off pieces, but for me, it's like, I realized as time went by that I liked them, but I didn't love them, you know, and I'm not really trying to spend money on something I don't love. So I really, even when I first started my page and I was just showing off my collection, I was always passionate about sports. And you know, as well as I do, you know, I was collecting from like 2011 on, like sports was never a strong market. So most people love sports, but they were mass produced shirts. So they were very easy to come by. And when I first started making my page, I realized that I was putting some rare stuff out there because people were like, yo, like, where'd you get this? How much? Yada, yada. And I just kept with it, just kept going hard on just showing off my love for certain sports pieces. And as time got on, as I mentioned prior, like we saw pockets of things go through waves, whether it was wrestling, anime, Pokemon, Disney. And I always said to myself, that sports is next, and I would like to be at the forefront of it. And then along with me, my boy DZ Guy Heat, Darren, who's a big sports head, who's around that 21 years old, my boy You've Got Grail, we kind of just all came together as a new community and kind of put it on the forefront. And we, like, you know, sports took a little dip, but where it still is unbelievable to me, man. Like I remember the first time I sold a piece that blew my mind. And I called you after my set and I was like, yo, this is it. This is the changing point. Because I sold a 91 All-Star NBA Salem piece for $500. And I was like, I was fucking in shock. I was like, what just happened? But I knew with the platform you had and having 150 people in that room all seeing that was my in, right? So I took that and reached out to Darren, DZ Guy Heat, and I was like, yo, he was doing sports lives as it was, and he was slowly growing too. And I was like, bro, why don't we just join forces and kind of just make it our own? And we've dabbled with auctioning off other pieces, but our fans, but like the people that tune in are are sports heads, because no one really concentrates on sports. So we take a lot of pride in it. It's high level curation. We're not just buying to buy, like I said. Every piece that comes in here has a little piece of me, and same thing for him. So we enjoy it. We love it. And it's just a good group of, guys and girls. So it's really dope.
Dude, it's amazing because, like I said, going back to 2016 when I was doing this intently full time, we would just throw sports pieces right back in the bin because sports pieces just didn't move. It was just a hit or miss kind of thing. Right. But yeah, you, one of the founding fathers of appreciation for sports tees, everybody that you just mentioned as well. Yep. When I saw it taking off, I love where it's at now. You're really tapping into the nostalgia. So yeah, guys, add that to his accolades. He's the one that is kind of at the head of sports tees within the vintage community, finally getting some love, the love that they deserve.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, man.
Yeah, man. Like, what do you think? What can you say, or what pointers can you give to someone who, say, like, for example, another category? Actually, you're giving me direct pointers now. Batman, DC, no love for DC tees. How can I create that hype? Or someone else watching say they're like, oh, I'm really in love with location tees, like different states that you go to, and the souvenir t-shirts. I like those vintage tees. Right. How can you build that community up to have a hype like sports tees do? What pointers can you give?
I will say it's a little bit of luck for sure, right? Specifically for something like sports, it's one of the biggest forms of entertainment in the world. There's not many people that don't like sports. But
it's not that I don't like them. I just don't watch them. Like I can't just sit down and watch a game. I'm like, I got to go do 20 other things.
I get it. It's not for everyone, but like moments of from your youth, a lot of it is built around sports, World Series, Super Bowls, champions, family coming over for certain things. But I would say if you really love something, like just keep pushing it, because it's not about, we live in this world of like quick fixes and quick dopamine, right? Like likes, followers, this is dope. And you find self-gratification and satisfaction from other people. And it's like, but if you love it, who gives a shit what anyone else thinks, right? And if you keep pumping that content out every day, and then if you go on a live like yours, or insert whoever, someone you feel comfortable with, and you can kind of tell your story behind the pieces and like kind of the nerd aspect of it, right? With all the details, people see your passion and people see, they can relate to it. So sometimes it's a little bit of luck. Sometimes it's a little bit of,
and also I think it's, sorry to cut you off, but I think it's also just someone with a good attitude. Like you got that energy, you got that positive vibe to you. And I think everybody, even if it's something that doesn't require good energy, like say like rap tees, or rap tees kind of sell stuff. But like look at Frank, right? He's like a band tee guy. And like band tees are not necessarily associated with being positive and having like a good personality. It's more like death and like, let's fight type music. But he comes with a great attitude.
For sure.
Positive, and you want to hang around with the dude, and he's pushing band tees.
Correct.
No, I think you hop on the live. Like right now, guys, Craig is being very tame. He's actually a savage on the live. He's just talking shit. He's doing a train noise. Like
wild boy. Like I was gonna hit you up before. I was like, yo, you're gonna catch formal G today. But nah, man, I know this is going out to like certain people, so I can't be acting a fool. But I got no shame in my.
I'm serious though, man. We have some people pulling up with crazy stuff, crazy grills that but they come on and they just don't have that energy, and then they take L's on their stuff, and I'm just like, why? Why do some people hop on my show, auction their pieces that are great, they're respected in the community, but I think it's because they step from behind the veil, they step from behind the curtain, and when you meet them, it's like, oh, this guy's, I don't know, the energy, there's that component to selling on live is, so it can be a make or break situation when you think about it. So if you come on with that good energy, let's do it. But I mean, I've had people that already are established. They're like, yo, I love everything that's going on the lives. I'm like, cool, whenever you want to hop on, let's do it. And then I can't. I got to stick to my thing. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I respect that.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of opportunity in selling live, but also you got to know what your thing is. And I think you hopped on the live. You loved it. You were yourself, positive. a dude you want to hang out with. You brought that energy.
Appreciate
And I think that's a major component. So pat yourself on the back, bro, because on top of passion and knowledge and all that stuff, you're just that dude. You feel me?
I appreciate that, man. No, it means a lot coming from you. And anyone, man, it's like, I always said to myself, like the first time I went live with you, I was nervous as hell. I've told you this story, but for the people that don't know, I drank like 6 White Claws before 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was like hella fucking nervous. I was like, shit, bro, like what if people don't fuck with me, yada, yada. And but the more I realized, it's like, I worked in the entertainment industry for a long time, and it's like, it doesn't matter if people like you or not. It really doesn't. But I always said, I looked at it as when I went live with you for the first time as a job interview. All I want to do is be remembered. Whether you like me or not, you'll definitely remember me. And I knew if I could just be myself, and for better or worse, because I know when I'm turned up, I'm not for everyone. You know what I mean? But I'm unapologetically myself, and I can live with that every day. I don't have to have people be like, oh, dude, you're so cool, or you're so whack. Like that shit don't matter, because Instagram's not real life. Like real life is like the people that you have by your side, your friends, your family, and the people that fuck with you. And to be quite honest, man, I'm a simple man that likes to have a good time. So that's all I need. But I knew I had to come in with some energy, be myself, because I wanted people to kind of resonate with me as well. Like I remember like busting out Don't Leave Me Girl by Blackstreet when I was doing an auction, and I hit an acapella, and everyone was like, yo, I forget who said it, but he was like, yo, this dude got a voice of an angel. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, all right, it's like some people fuck with it, but yeah, man, I have fun with it. It's a creative outlet too, right? It's like, sometimes I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth, but I can live with it. I'm kind of like an F-150, man. I'm built for tough,
Yeah, man, I feel you on that. It's actually a theme that I'm really revisiting right now a lot, with kind of just this whole battle that Instagram is having with TikTok. Engagement being super low. I mean, I have 100,000 followers, and some of my posts don't even hit 100 likes.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's like, it's crazy, man. And it really just looks bad on the app, because how you got your people that have tens of thousands of followers hitting those kind of numbers. Right. And it just really sucks for people like myself who have worked and kind of live off this.
Absolutely.
That they can't, they're unable to show the things that their things that they sell to the followers that they worked hard to get. Like Instagram's like, nah, I'm only going to show it to this many people.
Exactly.
Because, we're in a war with TikTok right now. And people like me, sellers that live off of Instagram, are the casualties, man. And, it's crazy because a friend asked me yesterday, how did you get to 100,000? And I told him like, oh, I just,
by the way, can you say that again? Because I want to feel it in my heart.
How'd you get to 100,000?
That's right.
No, but listen, they were like, how'd you get to 100,000 followers? And I was just like, honestly, by not trying to get to 100,000 followers. I never set out for followers. I never thought I could get even this high. I never thought I could get 10,000 followers when I first started, but I just had fun posting my shit on Instagram. It was like where I felt the most comfortable promoting myself.
Right.
And I did a lot of work on there, and just worked like kind of just without looking at the clock. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, it just got there. And there would be people along the way that were like, I'm going to beat you to 40,000. I'm going to beat you to 6. Oh, well, I'm definitely beating you to 100. And like, they just never were able to.
Right.
And what happens is it's because I just play around. I'm having fun. I'm trying different ideas. Sure. And I was always staying true to what made me happy and what I thought was being, my time, creative to me. And so going back to what you're saying is like, yeah, you have to just be comfortable with yourself. And at the end of the day, if nobody else fucks with you, at least you fuck with yourself.
Thanks, man.
So right now we're kind of in this lull period where, market's crazy, prices are down, engagement is down. This is like the dark days of vintage right now, at least for me, And I'm kind of just like, this is the time that I actually really enjoy. I see opportunity here because I can mess with different ideas, give people different things. Since nothing's working, I'm just going to do things that I like and just see, like, just experiment right now. So I started doing vlogs of just like my life, like, life vlogs, family stuff. Cause that's me. Right. And I was like, at least I'm putting out cool shit that I'm happy with, that it's not getting seen anyway. So, what do I have to lose here?
I'm tuning in every time, so shit.
Because you my dog.
I just really tune in for Lorian. I'm gonna be honest, but
yeah. But I mean, yeah, definitely go ahead and put a bookmark right here, guys, and check in on me later. Because your boy, like, for me, it's just a matter of staying consistent, staying positive, staying true to yourself, and especially in this time, doing the things that you like and staying true to yourself. Because if you take an L right now trying to be something that you're not, it hurts even harder than it would any other time, Yeah, but if you're being yourself, you could go to sleep good at night.
That's it. And that's always been it. And like, we're older, bro. So, I'm 34 years old. Like, I'm not worrying about what someone comments or like, luckily I haven't had too much blowback, but like through grapevine, you hear people talk shit and it's like, yo, I've never even met this man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why would I care what someone in
my new thing is like, when people talk shit on something or like, oh yeah, you're real, like stop making these reels or like cringe. Right. I'm just like, bro, honestly, like, I just don't want to be that dude that thinks he's super cool. I never have wanted to be that vintage account of just like, oh my God, vintage.
Right.
Exclusives. I'm just like, I'm a dude. I'm real. You know what I mean? I got jokes. I act silly, and I always, I think one comment actually this week, I told the guy, like, because I was dancing in a reel, like, and he was just like, yo, bro, he's like, yo, we don't need your goofy ass dancing. And I just told him, like, man, I just like to keep it fun. I like to keep it jovial. And that's just my thing. Like, if you want that serious, almost serious vintage seller.
Right. You won't have 100,000 followers. Let's be real.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's other pages for that. But hey, trust me, like, I see that shit and I want to be able to do that. I wish I could have like the crazy aesthetic and say the right caption, and I can't. Like, it's just not me. My shit is just like, what's up, dog? Like,
yeah, man. But that's what you are in real life. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what, like, why so many people, resonate with you is because you're more of like the everyday person, and you do a great job of relating no matter what someone's personality is. You always are able to make them feel comfortable and relate to them. Like, if I did what you did to sit down, like in the prime of COVID for like 10 hours a day with different vendors, bro, like, when I'm live, my energy is always here. This is the longest I've sat down on an interview or a live. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always turned up. So, it takes a special person, and, like yourself or like Jeremy End of the World Vintage and Frank and all these other people that do these. You have to be relatable, and you have to be someone that can be open to all different types of individuals, to make them feel comfortable. And like you said, people commenting cringe or whatever, it's like, bro, what does that say about that person that, you have time to type that and think about, should I send that? And you still chose the option to press send. It's like, to me, you're just a clown. Like, you have no self-love.
I mean, me, and like, I'll see things that make me cringe. Like, legitimately, I'm just like, oh, fuck, why are you doing that, G? But I'm not going to drop a comment. I'm going to be like, you know what? As long as you're feeling yourself, do that and continue that. Because there's people making way more money, just really making a difference in this world that are cringe. But I'm not going to go and like call them out for that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. My life motto for a long time, man, since me and my friends were in high school, like, I've never worked out in a gym. I've never lifted a weight, like, I'm not that dude. I've just always felt myself. But I always said to myself that rule number one in life is feel yourself. Because if you don't feel you, nobody else will. And that's the truth. If you walk and carry yourself with charisma and confidence, what I mean? Like, people will gravitate towards that. And it's not an act. It's just organically who I am. But if I don't love me, who else will love me? You know what I mean? It comes within. And for me, it's something I preached since I was 13 years old, like the first day I entered high school, because I was hella nervous. And ever since then, man, it's like, it's a free, clear mind. Because like, when you love you, nobody can tell you shit.
Nobody, bro. Nobody. And yeah, that's super important, man. That's one thing that a mentor of mine told me. And he's just such a G, like, super successful dude. And he said it kind of like, he wasn't even looking at me when he said it. We were just chopping it up. We were having a conversation. And he was just like, yeah. And he said it, like, not even looking at me, like, kind of like off the cuff. He said, you got to be your own cheerleader.
Right.
And bro, that shit, I'll never forget it. Like, that's how you got to be. Like, when you have an idea, you got to be the one to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this because I think it's tight. And Like, ask yourself this question, like, if everyone was going to hate on you for something that you truly believed in, say this is a test right now, you know this is going to happen. I'm going to give you a great idea. This is a great idea because whatever the universe says, say it's a God-given idea. God says, I'm going to give you this idea. Just know it's the money one. This is money. But everyone's going to hate on it and everyone's going to tell you not to do it. Boom, go do it. Would you have the strength to do it? Yeah, obviously now because you have the guarantee, but that's what I wonder is like, how do I know which one of these is the money idea? And the way you know is because I feel like every idea that comes into your head is kind of God-given. Like, where do them shits come from? I feel like I've said this on a podcast before, but where do those come from? So take your ideas, don't block everyone else out, and see for yourself. Just see it through for yourself until you say, oh yeah, this is dumb. Then, you know, that's my whole page. I do a lot of shit that I'm just like, oh yeah, that's dumb. But guess what? I don't care what anybody else thinks. I had to do it for me. Because I'll tell you, I'm living proof that there's some things that I thought were silly and they ended up being the craziest thing for me. Virtual flea being one of them. You know, virtual flea is the thing that changed my life, really. From where I was before it, just 360.
Mine too, by the way.
And I thought it was a silly idea. I'm gonna do this one weekend, pay it forward because the community came out and looked for me, and that's it. And here I am, over 100 virtual fleas later, 2 years later, all kind of differences have happened in my life, and it's because of that one idea that I was like, this is gonna be silly. People are gonna think I'm doing too much. Someone's gonna make fun of me for having this. The fact that I'm even setting up my booth outside to act like I'm in a real flea market. I'm starting at 6 a.m. Like all the, you know, being very festive about it. I was like, somebody's gonna clown me for this. But it's like, who cares? I was like, who cares? Right. Like, I feel in my heart I got to do this to help someone out. Who knows if it's even going to help somebody out? But all I know is that it's an idea. It's given to me. I'm gonna do it. And that was the one, you know. So.
And that one was like you said, it's interesting to hear, you know, you doubting yourself like during it, because I came in maybe like the 4th or 5th week. And I knew you just from YouTube. I never followed you on Instagram. I just used to watch your videos. And this was like ponytail, long hair, Chris, you know. I didn't follow any vintage accounts. Like I said, I was just naive. I didn't know it existed. So, you know, you had this kind of platform already, but like you didn't have to do what you did. You know what I mean? You did something that you felt was right because, you know, people supported you and you wanted to give back. But that split second of most people would be like, yo, I'm just happy I got that money. I'm just going to chill on it and keep it moving. You know, you were like, yo, I did this. Now it's my turn to give back to the rest of the people. And it was probably the most organic thing that I ever saw. We were all at home, nothing to do, scared of the future. And here was this guy having people on his platform from all across the world, and all like-minded people can come together out of the love of vintage clothes. And I got hooked immediately, bro. Like the first time I tuned in, I was in awe because it was right around, I'll never forget, The Last Dance was going on, the documentary series. And, you know, I'm an old head. So in 2011, I was buying Bulls Rappies for $40 from like Rad Vintage, Boneyard, Chicago, like the OGs, right? And I watched multiple people get on your live the first time I watched, and they were going for $400, $500, $600. And I was watching this being like, yo, what is going on? You know, like really in awe, confused. And I was like, it took me a while, but I tuned in every week. I was on my personal account, yours truly, here. And that's all I would say in the comments, would just say, you're, you know, like just testing the waters out until I felt confident enough, man. But you doing so and putting yourself out there, it kind of just took off, you know, and I'm sure you could say the same thing, a life of its own. It's like, you would have never, I don't think any of us in a million years would expect where it became. And then I started noticing that things that were going on the virtual flea were now reflecting eBay prices and Depop prices and all these things. It was like, you know, as a community, we were the market, and we still are the fucking market because of it. And for me, man, I was very blessed. I was in between jobs, and for the first time in my life during that time, tuning in every weekend to you guys was like, I'm going to take a risk on myself for the first time ever. Like my homies would always tell me, be like, dude, you know, you got the juice. Like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But I was always so scared of failure. Now a pandemic is in play, and I have no choice. It's like, if the pandemic never happened and if I never found you, I wouldn't be doing this today, living my best life, being my own boss, living how I want, not answering to anyone, dictating how hard I want to go. But it's the most liberating and freeing feeling I've ever had, because I'm not working for someone else or feeling the pressure or a deadline of that. It's like, nah, man, like, I'm doing me, and I never looked back. And I hope I'm fortunate enough to do this for as long as I can in the rest of my life. I don't know if that's realistic, but for the time being, man, it's no signs of slowing down. But that's all because of the virtual flea and you taking that chance for, giving back to the people. And I'm sure people have the same story as me, and we're talking thousands of people. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. People come up with new accounts every day, and it's because of finding these lives that people resonate and fuck with. And I see, that never slowing down. That's why I get a little disappointed when people are like, yo, vintage is like dead and like dying. It's like, every time someone says that and you put that out into the universe, people are going to listen to that. If you say vintage is down, vintage is dead.
Well, you have to know you can't, once that catches on, it's like a disease, and you can't stop it. That's one thing that I've learned is, like, you can't stop those kind of comments because they're just so easy to say. And like negative comments, they're just so easy, and they're almost like a release of that person's stress because they're thinking that shit. And now that they say, like, they just get that shit off their shoulders, just saying it, I've seen it since I started, even with things that I'm like, ooh, that's going to fuck up the game. Like, throughout my years, like, so many things have happened and I'm like, ooh, that's going to change shit. Yeah, that's going to change shit. Right. My little easy lifestyle over here is definitely going to suffer because of that. I always go back to bin pics, like people taking pictures of the things they found live from the thrift. I was like, oh, don't be showing people where we get this shit. But I was like, you know what? It's not going to stop. Once that box opens, it doesn't close. And with a lot of things, like right now, everyone's vintage is dead. Vintage is dead. I'm just like, I can't shut that box. If people are going to be saying that. So I had to sit down and say, okay, let's think about that for a sec. Is vintage really dead? And I had to figure out, is it dead or what's going on? And honestly, what I came up with is that it's not dead. It's just we're just in a dip, but we're in a dip that is not just freaking jumping into the pool and into the deep end. No, we jumped off of a high rise and jumped in the pool. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna survive. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a hard fall. But the harder the fall, the greater the pain. And that's what you just hear is a lot of pain right now. Just like, oh, vintage is dead, this, that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I honestly don't think that it's going anywhere, because it's the same reason that I fell in love with it, which is that it's super unique. It's a way for people to show their individuality. It's affordable sometimes. And it's the whole secondhand clothing, environment aspect. That right there, I know some people say like, oh, the whole environment aspect is just a selling point. Nobody really gives a shit about it. I've heard that sentiment. I don't believe that. I think as more people get open to it and realize, what's going on with that, like, people always want to do a little something. They always want to look out for the earth. And I think that with the teas is one of them, not being such a consumer.
But I was going to say, like, let's keep it realistic here, right? Like, for someone who's been doing it since 2016 full time, and someone who's been collecting for over 10 years, when I found this world of Instagram, I knew that was never realistic. So you can attest to this. When I bid on something, you better believe it's something I want and it's for the right price. I'm never the guy to get something because it's super expensive or this will make me cooler. It's like, dude, that was never my thing. So like, I knew that period in time, like the world was going to open up at some point and it would change. But if you told me 10 years ago, these t-shirts would still be worth what they are, which are still a healthy price point, I would have said, you're crazy. And that's where I think people get it confused, because people come into the game at all different times and they think this is what it should go for. Like, you buy a heart-shaped box for $2,000, now you're trying to sell it for $2,200. It's like, homie, like the shirt was never worth 2,000 to begin with. You know what I mean? So that's for like a collector price. You know what I mean? So I never said like, oh, this will sustain the test of time and these will be the prices forever, because that's not realistic in any market, whether it's the stock market. You know what I mean? It could be anything. But I still think we're in such a healthy point. It's expanding. You know, people are making new accounts every day, and all it's doing is, with apps like Instagram and TikTok and Reels, it's exploring a whole new demographic. Like kids are able now to express themselves through fashion and vintage clothing while making TikTok videos. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just going to expose it to more people too.
Yeah. And another thing is just the level of the things that keep being shown on these lives. Also, people have got kind of numb to it. You know, people want to see different things, you know, and that doesn't mean that it's going to be harder to find them, because I'm out every week getting supply for my show that I do on Pop Shop, and I'm always finding really cool shit. And I've seen so many tees. If anybody's numb to tees, it's like, it's going to be me, you know? And yeah, there's some tees that I'm just like, I've seen that one so many times. It surprises me how consistent they are in holding their value. Others are just like, they go down and people are like, oh, come on, man, this is a steal. It's like, bro, we've seen that shit like 30 plus times this month.
Correct. And that's a great point, man. I'm glad you said that, because
that's the beauty and kind of just like the rough part of this game, is that it takes a little bit of being savvy, that it keeps you on your toes. You can't always rely on the same thing. Why would you want the same thing to be the same price all the time? It's cool that it could go over here and now this is valuable, and you know, because there's so many different layers and categories to vintage.
Yeah, man. And just on that note, I wanted to say something because that I didn't mention that, and I think you hit it on the nail. It's like, when you see these items over and over again, it's always going to sell for the most the first time you see it. And when everybody has them because they think it's the cool thing, you know, it's gonna lower. It doesn't mean that's the price, but
now it's just a fact that that's what happens with items. You know, when they come up rare, they're up here, then they go down. The more that, you know, they go down in value, because that's a uniquely vintage thing, is that people want to be able to say, I'm the only one who has it. Vintage is different, and that's why it's something that you got to respect. It's something that what I love about it the most. You know, we're dealing with rare gems with variables. So it's like, you know, when you find gems, like if you find actual diamonds, right? You can classify them. There's only one type of diamond, and you can classify them. But in this game, everything that you find is rare. There's different variables like sizes, and you know, like if you find a real diamond, you could, you know, change the size of it or whatever. But with these tees, like, you can't change the sizes of them. Sometimes they'll have wear. Sometimes they're in excellent condition. There's just so many different variables to it that, of course, there's going to be a different approach that has to be taken when, you know, starting a reselling business in this. So you see a lot of people that during the pandemic that hopped in because of the hype and tried to apply, and even before the pandemic, people come in, try to apply like standard or traditional business models to kind of take over or to establish themselves. And it doesn't work like that. You know, I always tell people, lead with caution when you're coming in this aggressively trying to do like some kind of takeovers, you know, instead, lead with your heart. It's very much a heart game. Like, you got to love, like you're saying, like, collect the things that you like so that if you can't sell them, keep them. You know, it's very unique in that aspect.
Right. No, and you're absolutely right. And it's, I mean, listen, dude, we've seen so many people come, they get that buyer's bug, they're winning every auction, they're spending. In 2 months, you know, it's like, damn, where'd that guy go? You know, like, but it's all part of the game. And it's to each its own too, man. Like, I don't judge anyone, you know, like, everyone has their own business model. What works for me might not work for the next man. And I learned something from everyone, and I respect everyone the same. So I think it's important, like you're talking about, even with your Instagram page, you try all these things and see what works for you. And I think that's very important. Like, no one has all the answers. We're not know-it-alls. We're all in this together and learning from one another. And, you know, if you remind yourself of that, then like, you can never really get lost in the sauce, if you will.
Yeah, man. Guys, just exactly everything that he says, and just know that everything that has been happening in the game has been happening before. There's always some cataclysmic event that's going to end reselling forever. But as long as you stay true, and I've said this on other podcasts, you kind of got to just like block all the negativity out and just work. If you love it, you're going to make it happen. Stop waiting on something good to happen so you could say, oh yeah, now we're back. Make it good. You know what I mean? The market is only good because we make it good. You know, things spiked up because we put all of our attention on vintage. Things have gone down because the world opened up and we took our attention off of it. So now that everybody's walked away, there's this dip that has naturally happened. That doesn't mean it's dead. That means that right now we're just, you know, getting our feet, you know, getting.
We're all figuring it out, you know?
Yeah, we're figuring it out. So it ain't dead, man, in a nutshell. When do you think things will go back up though?
Listen, man, that's the $1 million question. If I had a crystal ball and had the answer to that, I would love it. But for me personally, you know, it's like there's multiple ways to look at it, right? It's like you have people that source multiple ways, right? You have your bin people, your thrift store people, your sniper people, your, you know, rag house people. So like it's all different variations of things going up, right? It's like, for me personally, I truly believe that there will be like a new category that will go up, but I never think it will go up to what it was. I just don't think it's feasible. Like the government was handing out free money. People had disposable money just to throw around. And I
don't think it'll go back up to what it was anytime soon. I think it'll be like 10, 20 years before it gets that, but that's everything else will be up there. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what it would be that next generation that we were talking about, right? Like I know nothing about like Dragon Ball Z or Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I wouldn't know anything, but like those had a little run, and maybe there's another cartoon or another new thing that kids relate to today that, to your point, 10 to 20 years now will be the new wave, and maybe that can be it. But no matter what, bro, I always think we'll be in a healthy standpoint of the market. And
I'm down for prices to my bad. I was just gonna say, like, I'm down for prices to stay where they're at right now, but just people to have more money, to put our hands on this shit like we used to. You know what I mean? Like now I'm able to afford more things, which is great. But I know a lot of people. I feel like most people, it's down. Prices are low, but I still can't afford that shit. I know what that feels like. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And it's all depends. You know, a lot of people just do it for fun, and it's that's what it is. It's a passion. You know, for some of us, it's a full-time job, and you know, including myself and yourself. And you got to figure out different ways to kind of separate yourself and reinvent the wheel. And for me, my collection will never change. I know that, but you know, me personally, I don't just do Instagram. Like I use my entertainment contacts of 10 years and, you know, deal with different people that they get charged the same price as everyone else, but it's not someone in my DMs letting me know I'll get back to you. It's like, they got a lot of money, so they'll buy 15, 20 pieces at once, you know?
Right.
And just like that wasn't just me. Like I had friends, my boy Cooka T, once again, you know, he makes custom jewelry for a lot of professional athletes. Yeah. And when I first started, he's like one of my day one homies, my best friends of like 25 years. He would sell a grill or a necklace and then be like, yo, tap in with my boy. And like my first 2 clients weren't even Instagram people. They were players for the New York Giants, you know? So put yourself out there, shoot your shot, DM people. Like you never know, you know, I don't want to give names away, but you never know who will reply back to you. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big selling point too, because if you're just relying on one group of people, you might stay stagnant for too long. You know, Instagram is still like 70% of my stuff, but that 30% goes a long way for me, you know?
Yeah. That was going to be my other question is, you know, what tips do you have for surviving in the dip? For me, it's just like, change your expectation, do a pivot. You know, we're not buying for thousands to sell for thousands. Now is the time of the mid, you know, and a lot of things, it's not like everything is stayed at 2020 prices and is selling for 2022 prices. No, things are at 2022 prices and are selling at 2022. You know, you're getting a different profit, you know? So
correct.
Maneuver that. Don't worry about the teas. I feel like a big worry is like all the teas that people bought when they were higher up that have gone down in value. At that point, this is the choice that you have. Sell and get whatever money you can get from them, because any money is good money right now if you need the money, you know. Or hold on to them. Hold on to them. If, you know, me, all the pieces that I bought crazy that I spent the most money on, I still have them because I bought them. First of all, I never bought anything crazy trying to resell, like you said, $2K for a heart-shaped box to sell it for $2,200. No, I spent
no shade on the heart-shaped box. We got to make that clear. No shade on the heart-shaped box.
Oh no, none at all. I want one. I need one. I'm jealous. But I when I paid $2K for a tee, which is a lot of money for me, you know, or whatever is a lot of money for you, it's because I was like, I'm keeping this. This is for life. This is a lifer right here. You know, unless someone goes crazy. But what kind of business model is it where you're just like, I want someone to come crazy out of pocket? Like I'm relying on, my business relies on fuck you prices. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not right. It's fun.
Right.
You see people doing it here and there, but that doesn't mean, you know, those types of situations happen organically. Like I'll just get a message from someone like, I'll pay whatever. Boom, take it. You know what I'm saying? But that's not, you cannot rely on that.
A lot of people that exist like that, right? Like those are collectors, and like for them, they just want to get their hands on that piece, and that will always be a thing. But yeah, I mean, I think to your point of like I'll be honest, the most I've ever spent on a t-shirt was $600 in my whole life, you know? And I know that was still a lot of money for me.
Damn, bro, you need to get in the club. You need to join the club.
That was still a lot of money for me, bro. But my mindset was
how am I going to eat this week club?
But you know, it's different strokes for different folks. And
no, I'm kidding, guys. Don't do that.
No, it's, you know, we all spend our money on stupid shit, or some of us do, you know, like, so whatever it is, just know that if you're willing to spend that, but you're hoping for like that crazy return, make sure you're just knowledgeable on what the market is and what things are going for. And, you know, and I think it's trial and error too, bro. Like, I don't think there's one clear cut answer. And like you said, if I had a crystal ball, like I think we work in an industry where it's always the unknown, and that's just the truth.
Yep. And that's what makes it fun. If you're a G, which is for me what I do, I'm just like, I'm gonna make that fun. I'm gonna make that work to my advantage. I'm gonna try different things. I'm gonna get creative with it, and that's why I love what I do. So you said like your background has helped you now, because my question was gonna be, how do you survive in the dip? I think that's awesome. So tell us about your background. I know it's a big influence on your curation. Tell us about your background and your curation.
Shit, man. You know, I grew up in New York my whole life, still reside in the hometown I grew up in, small town called Nyack, New York, about 30 minutes up north from New York City. And it's the place that made me the person I am today. Very diverse town, many different cultures, tight-knit community. Like you grew up with these people from 5 years old to you're 18, like 3 elementary schools, go to all the same middle school, all the same high school. So I was exposed to, you know, I guess you could say like more than your average middle-class suburban town. But I remember I loved sports when I was young. My parents were not reading me bedtime stories. It was like USA Today, like top 10 statistics for like baseball and basketball, like for real, you know? And I wouldn't go to bed until I memorized their batting average or how many assists Jason Kidd has per game. And that was my first love. And then I turned 8 years old, and I remember watching MTV Jams, and I found a female rapper by the name of MC Lyte. And it was Cold Rock Party remix with Puff and Missy. And my mind exploded. I was like, yo, what is this, right? Like my parents played a lot of Motown, a lot of like Dave Matthews Band, Simon and Garfunkel and shit like that. And when I found hip hop, man, and R&B music, especially in the 90s, as you know, man, it was very influential, you know, well aware that I'm a white male, but it was a way for me to learn, and they were storytellers, and fashion and everything was just so impactful towards me. And I really resonated with it and really became a student of the game. So once I got that MC Lyte cassette tape at 8, man, it was a wrap, you know, like no pun intended. So yeah, man, once, you know, I did the whole thing, college and all that, and was trying to figure out my life. And I was lucky enough to know a guy that worked for Def Jam Records when I graduated college. It was the summer of 2010. So like Justin Bieber was on top of the world. Rihanna, there's when Rick Ross dropped BMF, Blowing Money Fast. Like that was the biggest record of the summer. I got to learn a lot of cool things. I worked in the international marketing department, and it exposed me to a lot of like behind the scenes of music, because as fans, you just think you do these things or go to a show and there's like, you don't think anything else behind of it, right? It's just like you take it for granted kind of. And then from there, I kind of springboarded into the booking agency world. So I was the guy that booked the tours, that if you went to a show.
Wow.
So I was lucky enough to find an agency in my hometown. Shout out to my mom. Mama! She had she's a preschool. Wendy G, that's right. She's a preschool owner, and the kid's father, the kids went to her preschool. So I interviewed with them, and they represent a lot of legendary hip hop acts, people that were my idols growing up, like Wu-Tang, Dipset, Lil' Kim, Bone Thugs, Blackstreet, Drew Hill. It was like, it was my dream job, right? And I did that for 7 years, man, and it was a good run. But like the older I got, I realized it can only go so far, and you can only be like, yo, I got my friends backstage passes. That's only cool for so long. You know what I mean? And yeah. I started thinking about my mental health and well-being, because everyone in that industry is kind of miserable, and cutthroat, and it's a lot of pressure. So I pivoted more into entertainment tech after that. So still keeping like my roots of music and working with labels to acquire them onto certain platforms. And yeah, man, from there, the pandemic happened. So when the pandemic happened, I was interviewing with WWE, which was in Stamford, which is close by me. And I would have been the guy on the road that was a talent relations manager. So I'd be the guy setting up the PR. I'd be the guy that calls you to tell you you're fired or you failed a drug test, like shit like that. And then I also had an interview with Depop to be working with influencers to acquire them on the platform. And that was beginning of March. Like I remember going to the WWE office and people having like mask signs, wash your hands, but it hadn't hit America yet. So it was kind of like, haha, like that's pretty funny, But once that happened, man, the world shut down. I was kind of in limbo and stuck. So from there, dude, I found you. Like I said, I was taking a shit one day and I went on my Instagram Explorer and I saw a flyer for the virtual fleet. And I was like, yo, what is this shit? And I tuned in and I started looking and I started observing and really like paying attention and like being a student of the game. You know what I mean? Because it was so new. Like I was just a collector. I never thought about any of this. So I really started paying attention to like what people fucked with, like certain accounts, like the way people maneuver, take photos, whatever it may be. But that was like 3 or 4 months of like just being a lurk, like on my personal page, until I gained enough confidence. And like I said earlier in the interview, try to like do what I love for the first time, which doesn't mean I didn't love the other things, but that was always working for someone else. And I was 32 years old and I was like, if I can do this, I had no kids and I wasn't married. So I was like, if there's one time in my life to do it, it's now. And I didn't want to live with any regrets. So when I made my page, man, the name Evil Empire is taking my two loves, sports. The Yankees are known as the Evil Empire of baseball, and hip hop, which is the Evil Empire mixtape drop with all the Lil Wayne mixtapes and shit. So I combined the two and I added an extra L because I didn't want people to be like, oh, like, is he mean or whatever? It's like, nah, we're ill, we're dope. You know what I mean? Like you can come over here and, join the good side. You say get him, we say got him type shit. And then, yeah, man, I just never looked back.
I love that when I hear what people took from their background, their like previous life before they did this and what they applied to it. So for you, it's like, clientele, having those connections. For me, it's, whatever I learned from those office jobs that I had, just being organized and scheduling and being professional. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if it wasn't for that, that helped me out a lot. All those times, all those other jobs.
Hey, you're right, man. And you learn a little bit of everything. I know that was a little like a long-winded answer, but like just like a little more background of like who I am as a person. And, I know certain people, so like that helps. Like I know certain people at record labels. So like if a video shoot happens and they may need something, like I'm in New York, so like I'm one call away and then, the sports world is probably where it happens the most for me, with my connections of like my friends and like personal connections of, the tunnel now with Instagram, when people get out of their car and walk through the tunnel, that's kind of like the new Instagram fit pic. You know what I mean? So I started noticing that pretty early on when I started doing this, that like people are trying to show out, and it doesn't have to be all designer shit. So, you know, not every, just because they have money, trust me, people will be like, yo, you're tripping, I'm not paying that, right? Like it doesn't mean they're automatically buying your shit. It's like they have to really understand it, they have to resonate it. But if you really look at the tunnel pics now, there's Instagram accounts for it, like NBA fits, MLB fits, you know, that people want to look their best and they want to look different. Like no one wants to wear the same Gucci tracksuit as the same 10 other players that wore it in the tunnel. So when I started building up the athlete client base, it gets to a point where you can get new inventory and you know what they fuck with, and you can send it to them, kind of give them first dibs type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's amazing. So I want to get in before I don't want to end until we talk about this. You won MVP on the virtual flea. That's voted on by the people, guys. So he did a set. He brought the energy. There's a ton of other vendors that day, and he won the your second place MVP wins, consecutive wins. It's 6, right?
Right. Yeah, so 6.
What attributed to that success? Like, what pointers can you give to people on how to? I mean, I don't really do the MVP voting anymore, but I think it's important to know this to know what's a good live set, the live selling set.
Yeah, man, and we touched on it a little bit. It's like it's kind of it's hit or miss. You never know. Like at first, I had no idea, and I think confidence is key. Like if your tone, like people have to feel your enthusiasm of what you're selling them. And if you're just a person who's shy, which is totally fine, like find a way to attribute something else to sell the tea. Like maybe you're not the seller, but like tell a good story or tell them a fun fact. Like, you know me, dude, like you went through all my R&B and rap keys. You were probably telling me in your head, like, this guy, did he ever shut the fuck up about all this nerd shit? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I love the, you know, I love the history behind it. So when I see a tea and I resonate with something, I think it's important for the people to know how you feel. So I think that's probably step number 1, is to be enthusiastic of what you're offering people. Because if you're not, people will leave the room immediately. Number 2 would just be organically yourself, like for better or worse. And, you know, I'm well aware, like, dude, even at the 100th episode, like I was lit as fuck. You know what I mean? Like I was just drinking, enjoying it, but it was a celebration more than anything. And you could tell from the energy in the room, in the chat, like it was like the older days a little bit. You know what I mean? Like people were excited, and I was super humbled and honored that you asked me to be on it. So I was just celebrating, you know, the vintage world. And, you know, like if I'm a little drunk or whatever, like it is what it is. I'm fucking 34. I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to be out here roasting people or cursing at you or anything, but I think it's important just to feel you, be yourself, and you live with the consequences. Because if you come in half-ass, or if you're trying to do a facade or a character, right? And I'm sure people can say that right now because like I'm being like a normal person right now, but it's like there's a time and a place for everything, right? Like when I get live, and specifically when I'm live with you, man, it's a party. Like I'm celebrating. Like I want to have fun. I don't want to be like, all right, just 23 by 29. Here's this rare tea. Run it up, guys. You know, like that's just a dud. So I think it's important just to have fun with it, whatever your fun is. And be yourself. Just be organically yourself, because at the end of the day, that shit, if you're not, it will catch up to you. People will call you out, and that's when people can be like, fraud, this, he doesn't, you know, like. Yeah. So just have fun with it, be you, and be enthusiastic, because it will go a long way. If people feel that you love it, that might rub off on someone else.
Yeah. You were talking about confidence, like talk about your items, and just like, because you love them so much, you get info on it, and that you're always giving these fun facts about things. So there was a time at the beginning of the pandemic, 2022 for sure, where I said, selling on lives is the best way to sell vintage. And I said that because everybody watching is enthusiastic. They understand. They don't have to be told. They want to collect the shit. You're in a room selling to people who are like-minded and enthusiastic.
Right.
Do you still think that selling live is the best way to sell? Or did you agree with that statement then? And how do you feel about it now?
Do I still think it's the best? 50-50 on that. I still do lives a lot, but that's because I'm confident in how I get my shit and what I pay for it, right? So I might not be the best person to ask. So, but I do think it's taking a dip a little bit. I still think it's a great way for promotion. Any live that you go on is free promotion. Even if you pay whatever the charge is, it's worth the money. It always is worth the money. That money, by the time you pay it the week before, it's long gone, it's out of your mind, but you're reaching a whole new audience. So I think lives are a good way to sell, to reach new people. If you're expecting top dollar, I don't think it's the best anymore. I think a great example of who's still killing it, and I've talked about this, of like, that's an inspiration of, they kill it, is the Long Gone Boys, right? Like, they do a story sale. They do like a 60 to 80 piece drop every month. They promote it for the whole month. Once their story sale's done, they promote it for the whole month. They do teasers. You don't really know what's coming. So they do a great job of anticipation. So, you know, for someone like,
look at how they established themselves in lives. So there is a lot of value in lives, like you're saying. Yeah.
Right. And that's what I mean. It's like, it's a way for people to relate to you and get to know the person or the face behind the brand. But there's other ways. I say that to be like, there's other ways to do both and pivot. Like, for me, it's a virtual appointments, you know, like, I pride myself on that. Like, that's why I only post on my page what's sold. I want you to be like, oh, I didn't know you had that. That's the whole fucking point, bro. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't tap in with me, you get access to everything that's in here. If you don't tap in, you'll miss out. So if you kind of build that exclusivity, if you will, people will come because people want to know what you got. So a live is another great reason for that. They might like 3 or 4 pieces you showed and been like, dude, do you have this? Do you have that? It's like, I do, but you got to book an appointment. And I don't charge for appointments. Because if anything, I just make a friend and we just nerd it out over vintage. But I'm very confident that if I get your foot in the door, I don't need your like $20 for a down payment. Like, that doesn't make or break me. I want you to come in, have a good time, nerd out, and I'm very confident that you'll buy at least one piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jay-Z has this, was saying in this interview that he did, he says hip hop is all about the white hot space. When you're in the white hot space, you're the hottest thing. Everyone's talking about you. You're the new thing. Don't try to stay in that white hot space, because that window always, like, you come out of it. You know, there's always something new on the horizon. So what matters is what you do with the time that you're in that white hot space. What are you going to do so that when you're out of it, how are you going to build off of that? And I think that that's what's going on with vintage. Is we had a white hot space 2020, you know, that we were in the Wall Street Journal. We did a lot of crazy shit that got the world's attention. You know, don't forget that, guys. We did that. Okay, but now it's a matter of, what are we going to do? Because the white hot space is done. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to be like Jay-Z and be the hottest rapper and use that to then become one of the most successful men in history? How can we do that? And I think right now we got to identify that the dip is just us kind of stumbling to get our feet, but we have so many great things that we have been introduced to. We have a bigger audience. We have more understanding of the product. And we have cool things like live selling that was not around before 2020 pandemic. No. Nobody was doing the live selling. So is live selling the best way to sell your stuff? Maybe not. But it's just a new characteristic. It's a new feature to this vintage community that we have, this market that we have, that you can use to your advantage. So coming out of the 2020 white hot space, we have a bigger market, a new way to sell, a new way to get your name out there, other than just using hashtags or whatever it is that we did before that. Now we have live selling, and that's not going anywhere. Like, these lives are still on every day. There's probably one on right now. You know, so look at it that way, guys. Is what's the best way to sell? There was never a best way to sell. There was one during 2020. I'd have to say it was definitely selling on live, but before that, there was no best way to sell. Otherwise, everybody'd be on it. But there was always an eBay guy, a Depop guy, a flea market guy. And now it's
Sure.
the same thing, but just add live selling to the mix. And that's how I see it. Because even in 2020, people were selling things for even higher than they would sell on auction in the DM. Because there's that part of this vintage community as well. It's like, I got you by the balls, bro. Like, I have this shirt. Nobody else does. So this is the price. Fuck your market price. I'm giving you the fuck you price. And people would sell it. Crazy numbers, even outside of auction.
That don't want to like bid or like let know their business and like show how much they're paying, right? So it's like there are people that just prefer it in the DMs as well. And, you know, with the offsprings of Instagram, man, I mean, you have people like yourself on Pop Shop, which, you know, I've been on, you know, I was on every week for like a month. And I told you this, I got no, you know, very blessed and proud. Like that was my best month ever. And it was a springboard of not just Pop Shop. It was like, I already had my business. It was Pop Shop and I was reaching new people that didn't follow me. And then they were booking appointments. It was just like this fucking domino effect of like, everything was fucking hitting. And then you have the people on other selling platforms like Whatnot that are killing it. And it's whatever works for you and to each its own. You know what I mean? There's no right answer. You just have to find it for yourself. And that's the most important thing.
That you said is your craziest month. That happened this year and supposedly the dip. So there's still ways out there, you know, that goes back to surviving in the dip.
You and I know the story, but like you and I went out to eat when I was out in LA and we were just having a boys' night out, getting a little fucked up, getting a little twisted. And, you know, that's the first time we were kind of talking about this shit back in November. Right. And, you know, you got approached just by chance while we're waiting for our Uber by someone that happened to work for Pop Shop. And it was like, you know, I always tell the story. It looked like a movie scene. The guy left his girl in the dust, hopped the restaurant fence to get your attention. But I mean, that's the way it played out.
Shout that man out.
Yeah, for sure.
That was cool, man. But that showed me right there just because I hadn't really wanted to. I was like, why? Why would I? You know, I'm good on IG. I'm good on Instagram. Why would I go to one of these selling apps? No, I'm good. No, thank you. But when he came up to me like that, you know, like you said, it was a crazy scene. He left his girl. His girl's waiting at the table. He's like, Chris, we'd love to work with you. And I was like, man, something about that really, like, it struck me. You know, it struck me that they want to work with this community. And I was like, all right, now I got to hear this man out. We had a meeting and I just love what they have to offer. And I realized then that if I really do love this vintage community, if I really do love live selling, then I have to be willing to empower others to do the same. And I have to also be willing to streamline it and make this whole process, this whole experience more efficient, even if it means that it's not in my favor. You know what I'm saying? Because as a host, why would I want any other, like those live selling apps are my competition. But I was like, the right thing to do is to empower others. And I'm not afraid to do that because since 2020, when I started Virtual Flea, helping others has given me fulfillment, and just seeing other people doing good is like, it's amazing. I've never made as much money as probably most of my vendors on Virtual Flea on a live set. Like, my vendors go crazy, and that shit makes my heart sing.
Right, dude. And I think that's why, you know, we're talking about all these things. And that's why I say, like, you know, I'll be honest, when the platforms came, it was like the same thing when I first found Instagram Live. I was studying Pop Shop. I wasn't ready to go on. I wanted to see what worked. And you can tell me if you feel differently, but I feel like when I came on, we made blind bids lit. You know what I mean? Like, it was a different avenue because you were coming so hard every week, bro. Like, you were just banger after banger after banger, auction, auction, auction. And then other people would come on that it was kind of hard to live up to, like, your 2-hour set. And it's like, you know, I got this big Eeyore hit, you know, and it's like, no shame. But I started to realize, like, where would I fit into this, right? And for me, it was like, you know, excuse my language, but like, I'm going to let my nuts hang. Like, I'm going to let things go. I'm going to bring some excitement. I'm going to be enthused, and I'm going to give a little taste of what I have to offer. And I think week by week, you do a great job of bringing certain people on. And it was like me and Kemp, who is totally different than me as far as inventory, but very similar in curation as far as quality, you know what I mean? And he handles like the marble stuff. So you were kind of like putting like this great Avengers team together of like a little bit of everything for everyone. And I just really enjoyed it. Obviously, not just because you're my friend, but I trust you, and anything that you do, I want to support you. And, you know, and I always feel this, you show me the same love. So, you know, Pop Shop, it doesn't mean I do my own show or anything, because, you know, I have other things too. And summer happens, and weekends happen, and family happens, and all this shit happens. Yeah. But I think whatever works for certain people, keep on doing it. But whether it's Pop Shop, whatnot, whatever the hell it is, it doesn't matter. Just do you, find your lane and enjoy it. And it just so happens for me, what I like to enjoy is rock out with my homie, and that would be you. And however it may turn or go from there, I'm okay with it, because that's what gives me excitement and enjoyment. And I think you're a very powerful person in the community. You deserve a lot of respect and everything that comes your way. So when you were on it for a month, I was watching it and I was like, yo, it's go time. Let's get it, you know?
Love you, man. We got to get you back on there soon too, man, because it's always a crazy ass live when you're on there.
Yeah, man, I definitely need to, and I want to do Cyber Swap. It's just July is tough. Maybe I'm hoping to do August. We got to get your ass and the fam to New York City, bro. It's about time. You've never been. You know it's gonna be a movie, man. It would be dope to have you guys out here. You know, shout out Future Pass and Fresh Kills and Metropolis. They're doing another ECC at the end of August. So, you know, if the schedule permits, man, we'll shut that shit down, man. Because you know it's more than tease for me. I love engaging with people. I have legit real friends from this shit. It's not like going to a corporate business trip where you have to like put on your best performance and just get through the day. It's like, nah, man, it's super cool to meet people outside of the selling aspect of it and party with these people and have embarrassing stories with these people, and just, you know, like the party never stops. And you know, I love it, man. It's not work when you enjoy what you do. And I think New York City, if you've never been, bro, we got to get you out there, and dinner and drinks on me. You know how I get down.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I need to get out there, man. I don't know why I haven't gone out to New York, man. Damn, you get my ass out there for sure.
Because you only have like 3 more months where you
something is always like conflicting. For the last ECC, I had Cyber Swap.
Right.
It just so happened to be scheduled on the exact same weekend, so it's just a scheduling thing, but it's gonna happen. I said at the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm gonna go to New York this year. I could feel it. I could feel that it's gonna happen at some point.
I will say, if you could survive Chicago in March, you could survive New York any month. You know.
Yeah.
Because like we only have like 4 months of like good weather. Like we hibernate for 8 months of the year. So
yeah, it was beautiful though, man. But yeah, Chicago weather was really nice. All right, couple quick fire off questions real quick to close it out. Things you want to see get bigger in the community. It could be a category of teas or just whatever you think you want to see get bigger in the community.
Showing more love towards one another, and stop putting stories of things that have nothing to do with your business. It's like every day you see someone like commenting on something or talking shit about someone, and it's like, it's very toxic, and like you'll be very free of your well-being and mental health if you just concentrate on you and what's best for you, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that is the community, it's a very small part of it, but it overshadows everything. I always said to myself, no one's perfect in this business. There's going to be things that happen. There's going to be mistakes that happen. But as adults, we should be able to figure it out. But to go on your social media page just to get clicks or attention and eyeballs on you, that shit's tacky to me. So I would love to see everyone show more love towards one another and empowering one another instead of trying to wish on someone's demise.
Michelle, that's when we were at our strongest for sure. Music teas or wrestling teas?
Yeah, that you know the answer to that. Not even close. I love wrestling. As a kid, I was a big wrestling fan. I always have wrestling shirts in stock, but you know, hip hop and R&B teas are the thing I love the most, because it's like we said, how we started our episode today. I found a tee today after collecting them for 11 years, and I saw it for the first time, and it's coming home to New York, baby. So it's definitely hip hop and R&B. There's something new I see every day, and it never stops. By the way, I wanted to say this. So my ISO has been for 2 years, has been the Tatiana Ali Winterland Tour tee. Okay. my homie DJ, shout out 93 Texas, was at an event in Texas, and he was like, yo, this guy's got it. I think you would fuck with it. And I didn't know it existed. And I was like, how much is he asking? He's like, 400. I'm like, damn, respect. But like, I just wasn't comfortable with 400. So, I search every day, and you had the Tatiana Ali. When you type in Tatiana Ali on Google Images, your old Depop page with the guest logo pops up. Okay. So that is my ISO. So if anyone watches that, that tee, I'm still pretty cheap. So, play with me nice, but, I'm looking for that.
But that's
one,
a tee that like someone's going to get and they're going to be like, there's no other one. So I'm going to charge 400.
Right.
But guess what? Nobody knows or cares about Tatiana Ali also. But I could hear the argument right now of the seller who has that shirt. He's like, yeah, but also nobody else has it. So if you want this shit.
But dude, like out of all people, I saw
okay, well, here's my rebuttal. But if you want money,
yeah,
you're the guy who's willing to give it to you.
Correct. And then my other ISO that I'm looking for is Devin the Dude, waiting to inhale, not exhale, album promo, Rap a Lot back hit. One of my favorite albums, What a Job with Lil Wayne and Andre 3000, one of my all-time, Snoop Dogg, one of my all-time favorite songs. So if someone got that too, those are my two current ISOs in the hip-hop R&B world.
Yeah, that's Tatiana Ali, man. I've had it twice. One time I got it in a buyout, and another time I actually got it out the bins.
Oh, dude.
I've had that shit. Yeah, it's a good. Angel has one. It's not that one, but she has another one. She has a really cool one.
I've never seen. It's not the one with her, like the big face with the purple like shirt on, the black one.
No, it's a white one. It's a white colored one. I've never seen it.
Ugh, she would.
Fucking Angel. Yeah, that's it for me, brother. Go ahead and give him that self promo, bro. I already gave you a good promo in the beginning, guys. My friend and a G, big energy, just a savage record holder on the virtual fleet, crazy curation. Just gave me my ISO last week, a tee I never thought I'd have, and still has tees that I need to get my hands on. I'm saving up. I'm waiting for him to get ready to let him go. I'm saving up so I could be ready when he's ready to let it go. Oh, let's show him the 112. We said we would show it. Do you have it within reach?
Yeah.
All right, and then when you come back, give them a nice little promo of everything that you got going on, and they know where to follow you and all that stuff.
For sure, bro. So here's the 112. I've had this I've had this for a little over 2 years now. So it's on it's a boot. It's on a Jerseys tag, size XL, but it's the big face. It takes up the whole graphic. The colors on this go crazy. Like the lead singer Slim's rocking some Cartier shades. So you got all four members on the front. And then the back hit is the room 112 where the players dwell. Just an absolute bananas piece. When I locked eyes on it online, I won't say how much I paid for it, but just know it was like, let's stay in the $20 to $50 range.
Ooh, that hurts even more. Cupid.
But yeah, man, it's a definitely, I've had, I always think about this. There's so many teas over the years that, have come and gone. And this is one of maybe like 5 that just, I know, like there's no price or numerical value that you could put on it that could probably make me sell it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that special. And I'm glad people like yourself fuck with it too,
That's awesome, bro. Tell them what you got going on, man.
Yeah, dude. So first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on again, man. Like, I started this by saying, if you told me 2 years ago that I'd be fucking getting interviewed by you, I'd be like, dude, what are you even talking about? Like, yeah, still doing it, still loving what I do. But you can follow me on Evil Empire with 2 L's, Vintage, Evil Empire Vintage on Instagram. Every other week, me and DZ, Darren, DZ guy, he'd do a sports show called Any Given Thursday, where we put the spotlight on sports pieces. We do open lives. We also do 1 episode a month where we have special guests. So it kind of goes outside of our box. Like last person we had was Nick all over Prince, and we did blind bids together. So you can tune into those shows. And more importantly, you can hit me on Instagram and book an appointment with me if you want to come to the good side and see what I got. And like I said, I don't charge anyone. It's more of like the worst thing that could happen is like I meet a new friend and gain a new follower and we just chop it up over vintage shit. So shout out to everyone that tuned in or is going to tune into this episode. But more importantly, man, thankful for you, humbled and grateful always. And yeah, dude, it's Friday night. We just got paid. Now let's get twisted. You heard?
Let's do it. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and like this and subscribe if you're not already. Let me know if you guys think I should keep doing this. Drop it down there in the comments. Craig, much love to you. Thanks so much for being my guest and chilling with me for this hour and a half. It's been amazing. As you know, we've had longer conversations. So I knew this was going to be a breeze. Guys, Craig, Evil Empire Vintage, I vouch for this man. All right, bro. Peace, man.
Appreciate it. I'll talk to you later, all right?